So I feel this one needs some introduction. As you may know, I've created this channel simply as a hobbyist looking for a replacement for my old Quadral Diamond 10.2s, at the time still searching for a step up in similar price range. Then I almost accidentally came across the Quadral Platinum Two, which was on sale for half of its original price. Turned out it was a spot-on choice, becoming my reference speaker from that time on. And 3 years went by like a day, and you probably know how it is with this hobby. Sometimes you just wanna refresh. Also, I came to the point where I had already tested most of the speakers in the budget range, and it was a time to move on. It was a good enough excuse, I sold my Quadrals and went with the flow of testing more premium speakers. Over those years, I've in fact listened to many of them, from Focal, Monitor Audio, Sonus Faber, Amphion, Audio Vector, Hecko, and many others, some of which I've reviewed recently on the channel. I couldn't help but always felt more at home with Quadrals. They were better to me, more all-around pleasing. This refinement was unmatched by any of the rivals I've got my hands on, and I'm talking about completed package of build quality, dimensions, and sound. And here we are. I've somewhat run out of speakers to test, so I decided I need to try the newer Quadral Chromium 35, since the Platinum series was discontinued, even though buying them directly from Germany was a bit of a hassle, I have to admit. So, was it worth it? Can the Chromium series live up to the expectations set by Platinum? Starting with the unboxing experience, so far so good. Very easy to unwrap, nice colorful manuals, fits, good quality foam, and no cheap easy to crack styrofoam like in the recently tested Amphions. My only small complaint would be the lack of colorful label on the outside of box. I know it's a minor detail, but something present in the Platinum Plus 2. Anyway, the speakers themselves make a really good first impression. Again, the same top-notch class-leading terminals on the back, great paint job, this time glossy, which looks really good in this white color option. On top there is this chrome emblem, a terrific touch. At the front the ribbon Essence tweeter and matching silver midwoofer Ultima. So, design-wise, the Chromium 35 definitely look premium, unique and rock their own style. Build quality is easily on par with Audio Vector, and I would say better than in Amphion or Kev LS50 for sure. That said, in a way, they look less minimalistic and modern than the Platinum Plus 2. Gone are the characteristic double chin and screwless look on the front. But that was truly one-of-a-kind design, sometimes I think even ahead of competitors at the time. Anyway, that's enough of nitpicking. How is the sound quality? Right from the first audition you can hear the characteristic Quadral sound signature. Bold in bass, slightly warm mid-tones at detailed high frequencies. That's however not to say there are no differences compared to the Platinum Plus 2. The first one is in the higher frequencies. This time instead of the Recon Plus Dome, Chromium 35 features the Essence Ribbon Tweeter, both developed in-house, which deserves recognition. I will say this one has much better horizontal dispersion, providing an exceptionally wide soundstage, and in fact the best center image I've ever heard from a speaker. Then the sound imaging it provides is so good that you can almost hear sounds behind you. On top of that, those fast sounds and clicks in music sound great as well. Apparently Ribbon can behave a bit faster than Dome. That being said, I need to remind, usually with this type of design there are trade-offs in the vertical axis, and so is here. When you stand up and move around in the room, the top ends fades away more quickly compared to standard Dome tweeters. Though somehow I got used to it. I guess accepting it as a small price to pay for mentioned advantages. The amount of detail is very good, maybe slightly better than the Platinum, though it occasionally feels a bit sharper, which is confirmed by measurements in my listening room. Don't get me wrong, I wouldn't say it's a harsh sounding speaker, especially on low to mid volumes, but you can sense it's just less linear, even if so slightly. Maybe it's also a bit more noticeable because of the dip in the upper mid-range / lower treble. And whereas I expect warmth in mid-range from a Quadral speaker, this time it appears more significant, which I believe comes as a result of the high-frequency crossover point of 3 and 7 kHz imposed directly by the use of the ribbon tweeter. As a result, I hear a slight disconnection between the drivers, which appears as a slightly muffled sound. Mostly I got used to it. If you wonder, it definitely doesn't sound even half as muddy as the Quadral Evo 4.1 for example. But indeed, it influences dynamics, accuracy, and I just recall the Platinum Two achieving a more mature and harmonious transition in this area. In this term, I would instead appreciate more lower treble presence and a gentler upper characteristics. Generally, there are too many bright speakers on the market and we don't need another one. This one is walking on, or more so near, a thin ice, let's say. With the Chromium 45, the sound became more lively and engaging. It feels like they put more emphasis on the amount of treble and bass, getting the absolute most out of this small cabinet, like the Platinum Two on steroids, though I'm not sure it's a good analogy. I wonder if something in the middle between the two models would be a better approach. And just as with the extra treble, you get a lot of bass. Trust me, surprising amount from such a small speaker. On one hand, it's great, as I generally have a preference for more bass. Without a doubt fantastic for low volume listening and poor recordings. On the other, in this case, it felt a bit boomy, again somewhat less mature with not as many deep layers. Here the smaller size of the speaker became more apparent in its performance, I think, though truthfully no surprise, as it always is more or less with every smaller speaker I've tested. When you look at my measurements, they confirm the bass doesn't actually go as low as in the Platinum, which is probably the single most objective drawback to note. More so, I think those extra lower frequencies come from a heavy boost from the rear Bessler Flex port. In fact, it pumps out a lot of air, explaining the overall not so clean behavior. So best to put them farther away from the wall if you can. Though the compact size of the speaker would suggest more flexibility in this area, I must say. In conclusion, this is an intriguing, well-constructed small speaker with a lot of power, stunningly wide and detailed soundstage presentation, and a great performance at low volumes. For €900 you're getting a lot. Despite its size, it packs a solid punch and offers better price-to-value ratio than the recently tested Audiovector QR1 or Amphion Argon 1 in my opinion. Aside from the obvious Platinum Two, they mostly remind me of the KEF Q150, which similarly tend to color the sound a bit, but with somehow pleasing end result. Though obviously this one provides with more sophistication. The Chromium 45 earns 4.5 stars from me. So far they are the most versatile and fun speakers under €1,000 that I've tested since I've sold my previous Quadrals. That being said, while it offers a more vibrant and lively experience than the Platinum Two, it sacrifices some of the refinement. Importantly, low end descent and tonal balance that made its predecessor exceptional. These don't quite achieve the same level of accuracy, and I could notice some limitations stemming from their smaller size. And I don't think I'm biased here, I'm not the only one so impressed by the Platinum series. I recall a Polish review where the author praised them, calling them one of the best speakers Quadrals has ever produced. Even though in the end I really liked both, in the future I hope to see something sonically in between the Platinum and Chromium. That would be all for today. If you listen to the Chromium 35, definitely leave a comment with your impressions. You can probably guess at this point I'm a bit fascinated by their speakers. And there are sadly not many reviews or opinions online, especially outside of Germany. Thank you very much for watching and see you in the next one. Peace.